heritage. I speak today in the continent of Africa, because that is what allowed us to keep our heads high in spite of all that we had to face. Today, as we go forward, we simply use the words, as I've had to do over the last 4 years in my country, as we ourselves face serious economic difficulties and challenges, as we face the climate crisis and the pandemic. And what were those simple words? Simple that our children understand. Many hands make light work. And just as we are prepared to share the burden of adjustment always, we must be prepared to share the bounty that can allow our people always to aspire and to feel that they live as owners in their own country and not tenants in the land. My friends, I ask us once, please, before we go and I close, to reflect on the fact that it was from this course, regrettably, that many people left. Yes, never to return at that time, but with a wish always in our bosom that their children and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren would come back to this land. We are conscious it is emotional. We are conscious that those who put your family in those castles, those horror houses, whether here or in Gorée, did it because they simply did not see you, hear you, or care for you, and did it solely for the purpose of profit and solely for the purpose of power and dominion. It is regrettable that those same motives are showing themselves on the landscape of the world today. And if ever there is a people who can speak out against it with a moral authority, if ever there is the capacity for global moral strategic leadership, Mr. President, it must come from those of us who are affected on both sides of the Atlantic, those of you who lost brothers and sisters, and those of us whose great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents suffered the indignity of being treated less than human. We have come to this point today to say to these young people who sit opposite me that it must never happen again. And to ensure that it shall never happen again, we shall build monuments that you shall never forget. And it is therefore with pleasure that I share with you today that one of your own distinguished citizens, the David Ajay, has been the person responsible for designing the monument in Barbados, the country that has had, regrettably, a relationship with racism that is a blot on our history. The parliament which I lead, regrettably, was a parliament that in 1661 passed the slave code that came to spawn all of the other laws that govern slaves in the Americas. It is for that reason that we, the children of independence, have an obligation to build a monument such that these young people shall never forget the scars of history. And that monument shall pay tribute to 570 slaves buried in the burial ground at Newton Plantation in the parish of Christchurch, Barbados. We shall equally build there a genealogical research center so that we can truly understand who and who is exactly family. Because Barbados has the second largest transatlantic slave records in history, only to be exceeded by the United Kingdom, whose ones perhaps may not be as pristine as ours for different reasons. The monument that he has designed shall have 570 timbers standing tall. And we ask you, Mr. President, as we shall ask many of the other countries from where we have come and where we have gone to, to supply us with some of those timbers so that your presence always shall be remembered by the people of Barbados whenever they visit that Barbados Heritage District at Newton Plantation. I end simply on this last point. The discussion of reparations can never be an easy discussion. It is complex. It is difficult. The heads of government of the Caribbean community have assigned me the responsibility of writing the heads of government of those European states whose governments were responsible for the extraction of wealth from our countries for centuries, and who extracted wealth, I dare say, from your continent and your countries too. There are those who will say and remind us that the specter of war makes it an inconvenient time to have this conversation. But may I say that it is never the wrong time to do the right thing, and I therefore hope that we shall have the support of Africa in these difficult and complex conversations that regrettably have led to the extraction of wealth for centuries from our nations in the Americas. Thank you, my brother. My friends, we come to you today conscious that we have returned. We have returned. And it is the ultimate victory to wage against those who said that there shall be no return, that I stand here as a daughter of the Americas, a daughter of Africa, to congratulate you on what has been a magnificent display this morning by your armed forces, by your civilian persons, by the school children of this country. And may I say, as I saw the stiltmen and the masqueraders, Mr. President, just as you felt when you inspected our troops in Barbados that you were in Accra, I feel today that I am in Bridgetown at Cropover when I saw the masqueraders and I saw the stiltmen move through this stadium. It is a reminder always that we are truly family. So let us not look north. Let us look west and let us look east. And let us be determined always to remove the middleman, to remove the middle leg, and to remove the middle passage. For if we remain committed and focused on that, then I believe that we shall be that humanizing force that the world needs now more than ever in these great times of peril in which we live. For we will know what we must do to bring justice to the fight against climate. And we will know what we must do to bring reparations to those people who have lost. And we will know what we must do to ensure that those in this continent and in the Americas should not be deprived of vaccines at a time when other countries literally are throwing them away as if they didn't matter. For we shall know when the next pandemic comes how to fight it and who to protect. Mr. President and the people of Ghana, I leave you today confident that you shall continue to light a beacon for those of us not only in the continent of Africa but across the world, and we shall join you in holding that beacon, that everlasting fire, if only because it is a moral and just fire. It is a moral and just fight that we wage. But we are equally conscious that those who labor in a great cause, my brothers and sisters, shall never fail. Long live the Republic of Ghana. Long live the Republic of Barbados. Long live the Caribbean civilization. Long live the civilization of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our special guest of honor, Honorable Mia Amo Motley. We shall now have a drum appellation by students from Obrachere Senior High School, Ewutu Bojuasi Senior High School, to make way for the anniversary speech by Mr. President.
The drum. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the drum appellation is performed by Master Ebenezer Nkansa and assisted by Master Ernest Beidu, all from Ewutu Bojuasi Community Senior High School in the Ewutu Senior West District. The reciters are Portia Manko from Ewutu Bojuasi Community SHS and Faustina Mensah from Obrachere Senior High School. They were taken through rehearsals by Mr. Richard Kweku Mensah of Okwampa CR Basic School in Bojuasi and Mrs. Florence Kweku Mensah of Bojuasi Community SHS.
eminent clergy, First Lady, Vice President and Second Lady, Chief Justice, Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of Barbados, and members of the Beijing delegation, members of the Council of State, the Chief of Staff of the Office of the President and officials of the Presidency, Central Regional Minister, Ministers and Deputy Ministers of State, Members of Parliament, Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executives, Chief of Defense Staff of the Ghana Armed Forces, Inspector General of Police, Service Chiefs, Dean and members of the Diplomatic Corps, President and members of the Central Regional House of Chiefs, Omahini of Ogwe Traditional Area and other traditional rulers, residents of Cape Coast, fellow Ghanaians, ladies and gentlemen. Today marks the 65th anniversary of our nation's independence, and it is wholly appropriate that we should gather in this historic city of our country to commemorate this special day, when 65 years ago, at midnight on 6 March 1957, our dynamic leader, our first president, the celebrated Kwame Nkrumah, proclaimed at the old polo grounds in Accra the immemorial words, "Ghana, your beloved country, is free, free forever." I must at the outset thank the children from the schools drawn from across the municipality for their excellent march, the cultural troops for their magnificent performance, which has showcased many of the best elements of Ghanaian culture, and the officers, men and women of the Ghana Armed Forces, the Ghana Police Service and the other security services for their splendid display of order, pomp and pageantry. It has been a grand spectacle, and I'm glad that I've been able to bring our distinguished guest of honor, one of the great figures of the Caribbean politics, the Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of Barbados, Her Excellency Mia Amor Motley, QC, to witness this for herself. Madam, this is your second visit to Ghana in 3 years, and I say once again, a big warm akwaba, our word of welcome to you and to your delegation. Whilst welcoming you, I also congratulate you on your spectacular victory in the recent general elections in your country, where for the second successive time, your party, under your leadership, swept all 30 seats of your country's legislature. Clearly, we in the New Patriotic Party have much to learn from the Barbados Labour Party. But above all, I congratulate you on steering your country from the status of a dominion to that of a republic, which occurred on 30th November 2021, severing all formal connections to the former British colonial power. Barbados today stands proud and united before the world. Relations between Ghana and Barbados date back centuries, founded originally on the tragic platform of the barbaric, inhumane transatlantic slave trade, which at Cape Coast Castle, located not too far from here, as one of its major conduits. Over 400 years later, Here we are, this time, sharing a vision of a black world on both sides of the Atlantic, which leverages hard work, enterprise, creativity, and innovation to engage in mutually beneficial trade and investment cooperation that will guarantee the prosperity and dignity of black people the world over. Madam Prime Minister, your presence here with us on our special day is eloquent testimony to the fact that despite the machinations of our common enemies, the bonds between us, that is, those of us on the continent and those of you in the African diaspora of the Americas and the Caribbean, are indissoluble and will in this century grow from strength to strength. The time for the black peoples of the world is here. I wish you a pleasant stay amongst us, madam, even if it is brief. Fellow Ghanaians, before the outbreak of COVID-19, we took the Independence Day celebrations out of Accra, in 2019 to Tamale, capital of the northern region, and in 2020 to Kumasi, capital of the Ashanti region. Both were huge successes. However, because of the rising numbers of COVID infections last year, the celebration was held virtually for the first time in our history. By the grace of Almighty God, in the effective management of the pandemic by government, we currently have a very low active case count, which has permitted these celebrations to take place in Gwe. It has been a captivating event, and I'm very happy to be here and grateful for the cooperation of the traditional authorities, led by the Omahe of the Ogua traditional area, Osaberima Kwesi Arthur II, who has been our gracious host. Osaberima, Yedawo, Enigwema Asepa. Cape Coast was once the administrative capital of the then colonial Gold Coast. The first Supreme Court was sited in Cape Coast. The first people to gain formal Western education in our country came from Cape Coast. It is the home of the first primary school, the Philip Kwaku School, established in the 18th century in 1776. It is the home of the first girls' secondary school, Wesley Girls High School, established in 1836. And is the home of the first boys' secondary school, Infansipim School, established 40 years later in 1876. Subsequently, many renowned secondary schools were established in Cape Coast. I doubt if there exists anywhere else in the world a town that has the same concentration of top secondary schools as there is in Cape Coast. Indeed, it is not for nothing that Cape Coast is rightly described as the Athens of Africa. Today is a celebration of our nation's independence, and one region that has epitomized both our association with colonial rule and the ensuing struggle to liberate ourselves from its yoke is the Central region. Indeed, the Portuguese, the earliest Europeans to visit us, first arrived in the Gold Coast in the 15th century, setting up shop in Cape Coast. The years that followed witnessed battles for control of Cape Coast, with the Swedes and the British finally taking over the territory. What ensued in the aftermath of this takeover was the transformation of Cape Coast into the place from where our resources, human and natural, were transported. Through the forts and castles dotted along this coastline, our ancestors were sold into slavery in faraway lands and were forcibly engaged to create wealth and prosperity for the peoples of the lands to which they were sent, wealth from whose enjoyment they were largely excluded. It was thus inevitable that the first momentous steps towards the making of modern independent Ghana began here in Cape Coast in 1897, when the great Ghanaian patriots Jacob Say, J.B. Brown, Joseph Casely Hayford, John Mensah Saba, and their colleagues assembled in the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, situated in Cape Coast, and managed, through their determination and advocacy, to mobilize public opinion to resist the takeover of our lands by the greedy hands of British imperialism in the Crown Lands Protection Bill, thereby helping us to maintain control of our lands and insulating us from the fate of the sequestration of lands that occurred in southern and eastern Africa, with such unhappy consequences for the indigenous peoples that reverberate till today. Exactly 50 years to the day after the inauguration of the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, on 4th August 1947, the United Gold Coast Convention, UGCC of blessed memory, the nation's first political party, was born in Salpon, some 50 kilometers from here, to spearhead the battle for freedom and independence. Later, in December 1947, Kwame Nkrumah, soon to assume the leadership of the nationalist movement, returned home upon invitation from his decade-long sojourn abroad to join the convention and take up his responsibilities as its general secretary. 6 months after the launching of the UGCC, the senseless Christians bore crossroads shootings and killings on 28 February 1948 by the colonial police of Sergeant Ajete, Corporal Atipo, and Private Odate Lamte, who were part of a group of unarmed ex-servicemen marching peacefully to present their grievances to the colonial governor, provoked the wrath of the nation, resulted in countrywide riots, and deepened immeasurably the demand for the independence of our nation. This led to the arrest by the colonial authorities of the UGCC leaders, Joseph Boachi Dankwa, Emmanuel Obechebi Lamte, Edward Akufo-Addo, Ebenezer Akwaje, William Ofori-Atta, Kwame Nkrumah, the legendary Big Six, who were held responsible for the riots, and to the institution of the Watson Commission to investigate the circumstances of the riots. The recommendations of the Watson Commission to the British Labour government of Prime Minister Clement Attlee helped construct the path for the attainment of independence. These and other events, including the founding of the Convention People's Party and the declaration of positive action, led to the emergence of Kwame Nkrumah as the leader of the nationalist movement in succession to J.B. Dankwa. He led it with verve, and on 6 March 1957, stood at the old Polo Grounds to make the historic declaration of Ghanaian freedom, for which the Ghanaian people will forever remain in his debt. I've recounted a short but significant portion of our nation's history and the journey towards independence to reinforce the importance of the theme of this year's celebration, working together, bouncing back together. This theme imposes a duty on all of us to embrace the essence of what it means to be a Ghanaian and to love Ghana. Our forebears worked together with the belief that Ghana, once free and independent, could make her own unique contribution to the growth of world civilization and be able to generate wealth and prosperity for the masses of her people. They put away ethnic, political, and religious affiliations and came together to work for the liberation of the Gold Coast from colonial and imperial domination. Each one of them contributed their quota towards the free, independent Ghana in which we now live. All of us gathered here, and millions out there, inside our borders and outside, shared this love for the place we call home. What is that ultimate statement of patriotism? Most people would say, my country, right or wrong. In fact, as the distinguished orator and Senator Carl Schultz elaborated in the 19th century, my country, right or wrong. If right, to be kept right, and if wrong, to be set right. When we make wrong choices, we must act to set things right. When those put in charge of affairs, of running affairs, get it wrong, we must have the courage to say so. That is our patriotic duty and calling. But we must not on any given opportunity run down our nations merely simply because we can, or to achieve a narrow parochial and partisan interest. The democratic system of governance which we have chosen to operate acknowledges that we are bound to have differences of opinion on the way forward for our nation. We must, however, recognize that the expression of those diverse views should not undermine the fundamental unity we need to forge to advance the cause of our nation. In the words of our unofficial national anthem, composed by the legendary Ephraim Amu, Edrume ene wonsoso si ebeyebi atwaso. Fellow Ghanaians, for the last 2 years, we have seen as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the disruption of the global supply chain and the global financial system, the opening up of a huge funding gap in virtually all countries, the erosion of fiscal space, the widening of the fiscal deficit, and increased public debt levels. Simply put, there are difficulties everywhere in the world. We're seeing increasing global freight rates, rising crude oil prices, which means rising fuel prices, rising costs of items on the market as a result of inflationary pressures, and the depreciation of currencies. And as much as these are happening in all countries around the world, the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has not thrown up its hands in despair. We're not looking for the easy way out. We're determined to become even more self-reliant and in the process find Ghanaian solutions to Ghanaian problems. As already we have made considerable progress towards this end. Today, Ghana is a net exporter of foodstuffs thanks to the success of the program for Planting for Food and Jobs. Free senior high school is ensuring money or the lack of it is no longer a barrier towards the attainment of a minimum of senior high school education for every Ghanaian child, an important tool for the development of our nation. We are processing more of our cocoa in Ghana than at any other time in our history. The One District, One Factory initiative, which has seen the ongoing construction of 278 factories across the country, 106 completed, is part of the foundation on which we're building a comprehensive industrialization program, inspired by the development of strategic anchor industries, such as the emerging automotive industry and the coordinating exploitation of our bauxite and iron resources. We have opened up this country through the constructions of roads more than any other government has in the history of the Fourth Republic. Our efforts at digitization are improving transparency, accountability, and efficiency in the public sector and helping to accelerate the growth of our economy. Fellow Ghanaians, these and more are what we have used tax revenues for over the last 5 years. In all your communities, villages, towns, constituencies, and regions, you've seen your taxes at work, whether it is the construction of a classroom block, a clinic, a small town water facility, a factory, or a road. And we will continue down this path. I will not renege on my pledge to help create a progressive and prosperous Ghana. I, however, cannot do this alone. I need the backing of each and every one of you if we are to bounce back together and build a Ghana beyond aid. There is one matter of overriding significance which we can no longer ignore. That is the pressing need to increase dramatically our domestic resource mobilization and reduce and eliminate our dependence on foreign savings. Today, there's no question but that the most important thing on most people's minds is the need for accelerated national development to improve living standards and generate jobs for the mass of the people, especially the youth. On that question, we are all agreed. However, not everyone is ready to take the next step to the recognition that accelerated national development can best take place with a considerable increase in revenue mobilization. And very few will then take the next further step to accept that revenue mobilization will happen principally through taxation. In our society, we have unfortunately not yet reached the stage of universal acceptance of taxation as a matter of public good. But truth be told, our tax to GDP ratio of 12.2% compares unfavorably with our peers the world over. Less than 10% of the Ghanaian population, i.e. 2.4 million people, carry the direct tax burden of 30.8 million people. The Asian tigers whom we envy and emulate and want to emulate finance their rapid development from their own savings. We need to do the same and alter our fiscal profile. We must move Ghana to a situation beyond aid. That is a Ghana which is no longer dependent on the benevolence or charity of foreign taxpayers and donors for the management of our public finances. It is doable. We want to transform Ghana into a world-class economic hub which will benefit every single Ghanaian. On this day, when we're gathered to celebrate 65 years of freedom and independence, let us continue to pay homage to those who dare to dream of this beautiful, diverse nation made up of different peoples. And let us continue to give praise, as we should, to those who made huge sacrifices to make possible 6 March 1957. Above all, let us guard jealously the peace and stability we are enjoying. There are some restless spirits amongst us who, seeking to exploit the current difficulties confronting the nation, claim to have lost confidence in our democratic system to effect a peaceful constitutional change in the governance of our state. Either the absence of faith in the prospects of a democratic alternative to the current government, or their impatience to wield executive authority, are the factors driving their appetite for the shortcut of military intervention. Whatever be the case, they seem ready to jeopardize the hard-won reputation of our country as a beacon of democracy and stability in Africa, and indeed in the world, in order to gratify their personal ambitions which show little or no respect for the capacity of the Ghanaian people to change, when necessary, their government peacefully through the ballot box, something they have done on 3 separate occasions in the 29-year life of the Fourth Republic. The great majority of us who are committed to democratic values and democratic institutions will continue to resist the claims of these adventurers and employ all legitimate means in a democracy to maintain our free, open system of governance, which is respectful of human rights, the rule of law, and the principles of democratic accountability. Ghana deserves to put the initial decades of perhaps understandable turbulence and instability in her history firmly behind her to enable the development of our nation to proceed in conditions of freedom, order, peace, and stability, which have been the happy hallmarks of the Fourth Republic. West Africa is also currently faced with a worsening security situation in the Sahel, with recurring terrorist attacks which are moving gradually southwards in the region towards the coastal states. All our efforts at transforming the Ghanaian economy and putting our nation onto the path of progress and prosperity will be rendered futile if we are unable to secure our borders and give you, the Ghanaian people, the serenity to go about your daily activities in an atmosphere of peace and security. Hence, the necessity of bolstering the capacity of our security services, a goal which has to be achieved. As President of the Republic, I assure you, the government is determined to do everything within its power to guarantee the nation's territorial integrity and ensure the safety of citizens. I urge you, my fellow Ghanaians, also to cooperate with our security services and give them maximum support in the discharge of their important duties. When the citizenry and security services work together, we can be assured of our safety and security, and then we can channel all our energies and resources into building a progressive and prosperous nation, the Ghana of our dreams. I do not underestimate the challenges with which we are confronted, but I am strong in my conviction that we can overcome them. I know we are capable. I believe in the can-do spirit of the Ghanaian, the first people in sub-Saharan Africa to rid ourselves of the shackles of imperialism and colonialism. Ours is a bright future, and I'm confident that the years ahead of Mother Ghana will be great. Let us work together and bounce back together. The battle is the Lord's. In conclusion, let me announce to the good people of Cape Coast that in commemoration of this occasion, government has decided to rehabilitate in full the Philip Kwaku Boys School, the first primary school in our country, as its anniversary gift to Cape Coast. Fellow Ghanaians, happy 61st Independence Anniversary celebration. May God bless us and our kith and kin in the Caribbean and in the Americas. And may God bless our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong. I thank you for your attention.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that was the anniversary speech by Mr. President. Forces Sergeant Major of the Ghana Armed Forces in the person of Senior Chief Warrant Officer Ado Daniel will now lead the contingent to chant the 3 hearty cheers to the President of the Republic of Ghana and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. May I have your permission to carry on with the yield, Mr. President? Yes, Mr. President. Remove headdress. Remove. Three hearty cheers for the review officer, the president, and the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Chabai!
That was the yell led by the Forces Sergeant Major, Chief Warrant Officer Ado Daniel. He was born on the 12th September 1972 and he attended Nkwanta Senior Secondary School in the Oti region. He was enlisted into the Ghana Army on 5th January 1996.
I have your permission to follow, Mr. President. Yes, Mr. President.
The parade commander will now ask permission to march off the colors.
Ready! Shout!
May I request that as the colors march past your location, we will rise and all in uniform will pay appropriate compliment.
Mr. President, parade over. May I have your permission to march up the colors and the parade, Mr. President.
once again request that as the colors march past your location, all will please rise and all in uniform would pay appropriate compliments. Shall we please remain standing for the national salute? Shall we please be seated? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all too soon we have come to an end of yet another edition of Ghana's 6th Independence Anniversary Parade. We shall remain seated. We shall remain seated as our dignitaries take leave of us.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, shall we remain seated and observe the departure formalities? The first to leave will be the President of the Republic of Ghana, together with the First Lady of the Republic, to be followed by our special guest of honor, the Honorable Mia Amor-Motley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Barbados. We want to say a very big thank you to all the schools who've participated in our 65th Independence Anniversary.
Special thanks to the Director General of National Sports Authority, Professor Peter Chumesi, who prepared the stadium for the program. Many thanks to our senior high schools for representing in their numbers. The school's contingent were supervised by Mr. Michael Ntoaye, Director P and Sports, GES Headquarters, Madam Cynthia Wise Atokwe, Programs Officer, P and Sports, GES Headquarters, Mr. Bertrand Ako Odoy, Regional P and Sports, GES Central, Mr. Alex Ekomanko, Deputy Regional P Coordinator, GES Central.
Osaberi Makwe Sata II, Ogwa Manhin, President of the Central Regional House of Chiefs, Ogwaman, and all the people of Central Region, Ghana says thank you for hosting this nation on our 65th independence anniversary.
We are also grateful to Mr. Justice Gershon Sronimpa, Ayawaso West Municipal Culture Coordinator, GES Headquarters, Phyllis Amwatin, Accra Metro Culture Coordinator, GES Headquarters Rep, Mr. Seth Day, Deputy National Culture Coordinator, GES Headquarters, Mr. Aaron Adakwa, Unit Head, Cultural Education, GES Headquarters, Mr. Prosper Bessa, the Culture Coordinator for the Central Regional Education Directorate, Reverend Jonathan Bete, Deputy Cultural Coordinator, GES Central Region.
And after the departure of our special guest of honor, the Vice President of our Republic and the Second Lady would also depart. For supporting the parade over the years, we want to say a very big thank you to Nestle Ghana Limited, Ekumfi Fruits and Juices Limited, producers of Eku Juice or Ekumfi Juice, Fan Milk Ghana Limited, Zoom Lion, ADB, Unilever, Coca-Cola Company, DDP, Avenor Mineral Water, and all who've supported this anniversary. Goyle, Coa FS, Hisense, and many more. Departing now is the President of our Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Together with our special guest of honor, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Barbados. Thank you very much, President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for bringing the 65th independence anniversary to the people of Ugwa. We also want to say a very big thank you to all the ministers, especially the Central Regional Minister, Mrs. Asan, for hosting us, making this anniversary a success. Next to depart is our special guest of honor, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Barbados. Thank you to all you students for making this program a success. of the Vice President of the Republic, the Chief of Staff at the Office of the President would also depart. Also departing now is Kwesi Enim Yaboa, the Chief Justice of our Republic. Verna Mineral Water, thank you. Ekumfi Juice, thank you. ADB, thank you. DDP, thank you. Zoom Lion, thank you. Cowbell, thank you. Trillium, thank you. Unilever, thank you. Coca-Cola Company, thank you. Goyle, thank you. Coa FS, thank you. Hisense, thank you. Departing now is the Chief of Staff at the Office of the President. And now our service commanders can now depart. The Inspector General of Police, as well as the Chief of Defense Staff.
Avona unto manya muni oke yo agbadela over dina ko over keken ekere ohun efe gbanya jojo efe o fale ke onu manglode o de konu yen degbe no no adodua o lododo ababubu o kotutu o klo moja kade nu vovo le ogbo na po achore moja kai na dokio amanto me fe degbe me o po drero nyalina eta chokaba fifia na be na po tv gede oji fifia eblugba kwe ple dregbe o dake efe gba fo ikenya miato Avenor TV na la fi me ko ekpoge ava ole nyanyu ade tumi he fifia Avenor TV o dira agbaje so bo wonto na kwele o TV ji decoder re share de exam na la to kwenye be agbaye wo de na wo pa nkuvia na nya o mafe avo na wonto manya muni o ke yo agbadela o va dina ko vo keken ekere ohun efe gbanya jojo efe o fale ke onu manglode o de konu yen degbe no no adodua o lododo ababubu o kotutu o klo moja kade nu vovo le ogbo na po achore moja kai na dokio amanto me fa degbe me o po drero nyalina kaita chokaba fifia na be na po tv gede oji fifia eblugba kwe ple dregbe o dake efe gba fo ikenya miato Avenor TV na la fi me ko ekpoge
Asim card zanen be a Ghana po senior card register ani a Ghana card. Yeah.
Davin tonto. Ish. Onto na nya jakopane na nam tasty treat biscuit akpakula milk snow cake man na mchoma.
Hey, de ebenka.
Mabama ji tasty treat biscuit bla milk snow cake nanya master. Yenyo na magbato.
Akakanes, mega bamijo.
Atanam de madwa.
Matana ho.
Katonyere. Huh?
Nede Jim Aflajira. Dagwana yo 0550-679-170. Ado 0503-123-456. FDA.
Lelele. Avivia de la signe. Dibe Magina Avenor TV. Avivia de la signe. Dibe Magina Avenor TV.
Agonami, nkonyenye Sera Music, mekpona Avenor TV, hesiayi.
Lelele. L'Avenor TV, yeah. Vivi sese, l'Avenor TV, yeah. La vivi sese, l'Avenor TV, hey, yeah. Vivi sese, l'Avenor TV. Ooh, yeah. Yo, nkonyenye Hansbex, ele Avenor TV pom. Minami akwe. Keep watching Avenor TV. Mwah.